Hi and welcome. This time it's Heroes of the Storm. I haven't played much Heroes of the Storm lately, but yesterday the new map, Towers of Doom, was released, so at least I thought I'd have a look at the new map and just play it and see what's it all about. So here we are. It was a quick match. I just auto-selected and after a few tries I got the new map. And yeah, I got Zagara, which was pretty okay, I think. At least the team composition was somewhat decent on both teams. So I thought it might be a somewhat okay game. Obviously I had no idea what to do, as I haven't read anything online or watched any videos about the new map, so I had no real idea how to play it and what's the general strategy. So I went for a standard all-round build on Zagara, the one I mostly use. It's just reconstitution on level 1, just to get the additional laning presence. With the regen on creep you can just stay a little bit longer in lane without harting back or having to tap the fountain. So my opponent in lane was Azmodan, which is a fairly even matchup, I think. With the reconstitution on level 1 I should be able to bully him out of lane eventually. It takes time as he has a lot of HP and isn't a bad laner himself. The important part in this lane matchup is to kill the demon lieutenants first. Those are the big black demons he can summon, because they give surrounding minions bonus HP and bonus damage, I think. And against Azmodan it's the general idea to kill the minion waves as quick as possible, to don't let Azmodan stack up a big enough army to push your gate and your towers in the early game. So just keep that in mind. The big black summoned demons, priority target. When it comes to dealing with Azmodan himself, you probably want to use your Hydralisk every time it comes off of cooldown, just to keep his HP low and have him frightened of the idea of ganks, so he can't push out the lane too aggressively. But now let's talk a little bit about the map. So just level wise, the first objective is about to spawn and both teams approach a level 4, so it should be possible to get level 4 before the first objective spawns. Talent wise I go for Envenomed Spines here, because the extra boost for my auto attacks helps in every game and I don't know any other strategy right now on this map. Talking a little bit about the objective in itself. So on this map you have to capture those altars and then they deal direct damage to the core. It is not possible to push towards the core as on other maps. You pretty much can deal damage with capturing the objectives and by pushing mercenary minions towards the big wall around the core, where they get destroyed and deal per destroyed mercenary. I think you deal 1 damage to the core or something like that, I don't really know. But capturing the altars definitely gives direct damage to the core. It gets even more complicated than that with the damage the altars deal to the enemy core is multiplied by the numbers of keeps you got. Here right on the right side below the minimap we got some numbers. So on this map you can capture enemy forts by destroying them. So you destroy a fort and it explodes and then rebuilds as your own fort. And the more forts you got, the more damage capturing 1 altar does to the enemy core. I hope this was somewhat understandable. So in short, it's beneficial to capture as many forts as possible and then capture the objectives, the altars, to deal the maximum amount of damage to the enemy core. Yeah, okay, as it seems it takes about 2 minutes to recharge the objective. So every 2 minutes a new altar should spawn. I'm not sure if it has any logic in which altars are spawning. It seems like the first one was a single altar in the between mid and bottom lane, and the second round is 2 altars in between top and mid lane. After our team managed to pick off Uther and Butcher, we pretty much are good to go to capture both altars, which should deal 8 damage, I think, as 4 damage per altar, because on the bottom right below the minimap we have 4 forts, so 1 altar deals 4 damage. Yeah, while my team is capturing the second altar, I thought it would be a good idea to get some more experience and maybe push the bot lane a bit out. Also down here in the bot lane you can see the map specific mercenaries. I don't know, pumpkin grenade mercenaries. They seem to be a hybrid mix between the siege and the bruiser mercs. So at least they look like as they are pretty much effective against both minions as well as buildings. As I'm happily pushing bot, it pretty much was bound to happen that an enemy would show up sooner or later. So here it is, Butcher is showing up. Thankfully it was no big problem, he was alone and so he just did a little bit of damage, no big deal. Which I could heal out quite easily, as I got my level 7 talent, Rapid Incubation. Haven't talked about it yet. So Rapid Incubation pretty much allows me, just as Rare Constitution on level 1, to pretty much stay out on the map indefinitely, as I have now a way to regenerate my mana. But with Tarnis and Nazeebo showing up, I have to be more on the defensive side now, as I can't out-heal the damage that 3 enemies could deal to me. So it's just all a matter of efficient trading, so I don't want to take more damage than I can out-heal. Also with level 10 and the ultimates kicking in, it becomes more dangerous to wander around alone. And sticking with the team is most of the time the better decision now. For my ultimate choice, I thought about it in-game a little bit, if it might be a map where Night Swarm could be a good ultimate, but as I have no experience on the map, I then still went with Devouring more, as it is the more conservative choice. This round of altars was an even split, so both teams got 1 altar, so the game went on and nothing big happened, which is okay and represents the flow of the game. So both teams are, at least at this point, pretty even in siege as well as in levels. But let's see how the first scrappy team fight goes. Yeah, this was a pretty horrible fight for us, as we had a 4 versus 3 advantage and still lost 2 heroes, which is in nowhere ever acceptable as a team fight. So we pretty much messed up all we could mess up, I think. And in addition to the lost team fight, we also lost our top fort, which throws us even more behind. Now the enemy team is doing the correct move in pushing another fort with their not just level advantage but also a talent advantage, and 12 versus 13. And we can't do much about it, so we have to give up this fort and retake it as soon as they leave. Even though we are already behind, I think we are still gonna make the biggest mistake in just not valuing the importance of the forts enough. I think it is pretty much priority to immediately take back a lost fort, as it gives a massive advantage not just for the objectives to the enemy team, but also in lane pushing in general, as your minions are pretty much stuck in our own core. So I think it is super important to immediately take the forts back as soon as you lose them. A little bit of theory crafting. So the way I think about it is with the mechanic that your opponent can take over your fort, he pretty much cuts off your minion waves earlier than on other maps. So let's say for example on Cursed Hollow or something like that. Even with the opponent destroying your first fort, your minions still walk out onto the map somewhere and meet the enemy somewhere in the half of the map, or at least more or less. So on this map, Towers of Doom, with the enemy taking over your fort that's pretty near to your core, he stops your minion waves right there, so you lose the map presence because the minions don't even walk out halfway or a quarter to a way to your enemy. They pretty much stop at your outer range of your where keeps would be on other maps. So you lose all the map presence and therefore lose pretty much all the objectives on this map. So I think it's pretty easy to snowball on this map, but I could be totally wrong on this one, as I haven't not played enough games to see the difference in strategy and possibilities that allows teams to come back. But back to this game. So after a few mistakes from our opponents and good soaking on our part, we pretty much at least brought the game back to even and had a chance, I think, to win this game. Our opponents gave us enough breathing room to even take a Merc, the pumpkin grenade Merc minions, whatever. Those are actually the only Merc minions I've seen so far on this map. At least pushing Merc camps, so there is a boss in the between top and middle lane, I think, yes. But the boss on this map doesn't really push the lane like on other maps. It's more like get the boss, get direct damage on the enemy core. So right now the game looks pretty even, but sadly in a few seconds we lose two heroes. It's not really a team fight, we just got caught out of position, which happens, but it sadly threw us behind again. So the enemy with the advantage in hero numbers this time is going to push again to our mid fort, and even though we are able to defend them, we lose our top fort to the butcher who cleverly saw the opportunity to push the top fort while we had to defend mid, or otherwise we would have lost both probably. Anyways, I'm hearting back for the first time this game, so it's more like I want to try the tunnel that's on this map more than having to go back. Let's just say it was purely for science. The tunnel had to be tested. And right away, lesson learned, using the tunnel is pretty risky as you don't know who's waiting on the other end. So the enemies were near because the objective was about to spawn. And luckily could go to safety, more or less. The butcher who was chasing me pretty much overextended and lost this team fight for his team, as he gave us the chance to pick off their team one by one, as well as cause general disorder in their movement, which was pretty okay, but in the end we still didn't get any of the objectives, as it just took us too long to kill the enemies off. So we are down to 9 health on our core, so it's looking pretty dire. So I just did what I thought would be the best I could do with the time I've got. So I just tried to push at least a little bit and hope for the best for our last and final team fight. So hearting back and getting full mana and HP. From here on out we had to win a significantly good team fight, or else we would probably lose in the next round of altars spawning. So I used the tunnel again and tried to flank the enemies from behind, which worked out okay, but sadly the enemies were able to capture the altars needed to just destroy our core. So with this, first of all, thanks for watching, and yeah, maybe I upload another game with a better and more in-depth understanding of this map, but let's see. So again, thanks for watching.